Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. A little cold, but great.
Well, we're going to get into that in just a second, but I am kind of chuckling to all you Southerners that are a little chilly the last 48 hours. But welcome to the Inventor Smart Community and Inventor Spotlight. You are our guest, David Chaney, episode 15. So we've been just pumping these podcasts out, talking to inventors. This show is all about kind of learning what your product is, how you got started, where you're at now, and we're going to get into all that. And we're having a great time doing these, brought to you by the Inventor Smart Community. If you're not sure what that is, we're a downloadable app wherever you do your streaming apps. We're just a collection of inventors that are all going through different stages of our development. So our founder and our coach, Brian Freed, set this app up, and it went from 22 members to over 1,500 in just an X amount of time. So you are a member of our community, and you're an amazing inventor, because I do love this product. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I have a lot of friends that are, and this industry, I think you've tapped into something. So David, welcome. Glad to have you. Episode 15. And you're our spotlight. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, and give us the lowdown of your product.
Sure. So David Chaney from Lafayette, Louisiana. I was a teacher, physical education teacher for 25 years, and never thought about inventing. I am a problem solver, so I did have some figure out problems and think that I could do things better than what's already out there, but never really saw myself as actually going out and inventing a product. And in 2020, COVID hit, and everything got shut down.
So as a school teacher, your school was obviously, no class attending, so you had some extra time around the house.
That's exactly what happened. And my lovely wife, Debbie, was kind enough to give me a list of Debbie do's. And one of those included painting the pool deck in the backyard. So, ran over to the hardware store, picked up a paint roller, and an extension pole, and I got busy. And it wasn't long before I'm just getting frustrated. The frame kept bending, the cover kept sliding off. I'm thinking to myself, there has to be a better way. And so I ran back to the hardware. I ended up actually taking it off of the extension pole and literally, Samantha, painted the rest of the deck by hand. And by the time I'm done, my hand is sore, my wrist is sore, and I'm thinking, man, there's got to be a better way. So I run back to the hardware store. I pick up 2 3-inch rollers. I bend the frame, take an old closet rod, drill some holes in it, glue it together. Next day I wake up, I'm like a kid on Christmas morning.
Okay, stop right there. Stop. We do this. We'll get into our stories, and I don't want you to get to the end before we can jump in, because this is what we love about inventing. So you're a PE educator teacher, PE education, right? Yes. So you have this time off. Debbie says, hey, man, can you do some jobs around here? You got all this time. You're painting the pool. And I get it with painting. I mean, you'd think in the industry we'd have so many options. So when you first were kind of constructing this, did you think to yourself, there's got to be something already out there? Did you do any searching, looking, or at the time, were you just trying to fix your problem of what you were having? Did you have a broader mindset at that time?
So it started out by creating a prototype, again, just a really rough prototype. And when I first held it, I'm thinking, man, this is definitely better than what I used yesterday. And so at that point, I did start looking around, and I couldn't find anything that was like ours. There's when I say like ours, our product basically allows people to hold the frame on a handle that runs parallel with your cover. So it eliminates a lot of that stress of flexing your wrist, constantly trying to apply equal pressure. And for us average people, do-it-yourselfers who don't know how to paint, we're just trying to get a room painted. Right. It's a huge benefit. It's something that resonates with all the people that we talk to who use it. But before we even explain to them, when we say it attaches on both sides, they immediately know what it does, and they're going, "Oh, I know. Oh, I love this. This is awesome." So, but I did look around, and I didn't find anything. There's some that attach on both sides for commercial painters that are large frames, 12-inch to 18-inch, but you have to screw it into an extension pole.
Okay, so that's the hook. That's the hook that it attaches on both sides.
Right.
So it gives you a little more flexibility, control, and, less headache. And I don't want to say painting is a young man's game, because I don't think it is. It's painting is everybody's, right? It opens to everybody. Even if you have a small painting project, I've stood in a paint aisle or an accessory aisle and go, next thing you know, you're buying everything because you think you need everything. So, yeah. So now I know you have, I'm just dying to see it again. I've seen your presentations before, so I want you to hold it up so I can look at it.
Let me show you real quick. So basically, once again, this is what a kit would look like. So it basically comes with a cover, a 1/2-inch nap cover, which pretty much accommodates any type texture on the wall, whether it's a little bit thin texture or heavy texture. It'll cover any kind of diverse. It comes with a main handle, 2 arms, and an extension handle. The extension handle actually can be taken out. And this is what I was referring to earlier. You can literally hold it like this. And when you do, you can see that there's no stress being placed on your wrist, on your hand. So we have a lot of people who literally suffer from arthritis or carpal tunnel. They can't. Our handle, it's an ergonomic handle. It has the groove, finger groove, so you can hold it and literally paint, and it's not putting that stress on your wrist. Now, if you prefer a more traditional feel, you take the extension handle that comes with each kit or an extension pole, you screw it into the base, and that gives you that regular, traditional, we're accustomed to feel, but even that is unique because it's center balanced. And again, it attaches on both sides. So as I'm applying pressure, I'm able to control the pressure on both sides. With a normal wire frame, Samantha, you get that flex. And so on one end, you're going to get a heavy paint trail. The other end, you're going to get a light paint trail. With this. And then you're constantly having to, again, adjust, apply, put pressure. That's why so many people get strain on their hand and their wrist, is because they're constantly fighting that roller. Our roller allows them to do something a lot different. Now, again, I think on the previous episodes I mentioned about we had somebody who actually rents properties, and he purchased one of our rollers, and he contacted me a couple of weeks later. He said, "David, look, I love your roller. I want to share something with you." Well, we have actually these 2 squares, a square here and a square here, that interlock. And that prevents the roller from twisting as you're painting. He intentionally took the roller, rotated it 90 degrees. I'm going to do this real quick for you. And basically what it does is it brought the handle, the extension handle, where it makes like an L shape. Now, at first I thought he was joking, but he says, "David, look, I want to show something to you. I intentionally rotated this." When I hold this like this, Samantha, I don't even have to squeeze it, put that death grip, constantly flexing. I can literally just let it rest in my hand, and I can go and I can paint. No stress at all on your hand, your wrist, anything. So again, one of the huge benefits that our roller offers compared to the thousands of rollers out there is that not only is it durable, but it's also extremely versatile. It allows you to customize it. If my hand's getting sore like this, I'm doing small area, I can literally hold it like this. If I want to try, if I'm doing, again, a smaller area, I can hold it like this. I can use an extension pole in place of the extension handle, so that I can reach the ceilings, the upper walls, or even a deck. So
let me tell you something. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It looks really well made, very sturdy. And I'm assuming that the roller part is universal. Like the universal will fit. We already knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really well made. It looks incredible. I think it's brilliant.
Thank you.
And I love this part about inventors, that we're just average people, right? whatever. You have a job, on the unexpected things that happen. And then all of a sudden, just that one, Debbie do list of getting and then, your mind going to, wait a minute, this is, it's so frustrating. It's hurting my hand. These little mini solutions, you build a quick prototype just to serve getting your project done. And then that wider consciousness opens up. And I love this with humans, right? That wider consciousness opens up and we're like, well, what if I do this? Or what if I do that? And here you are. And I love this story too, how you give it to a contractor of some sort, right? At the apartment. And he's like, look, I just modified this because these are the professionals as well. And they use these on a daily basis. This is such a great story. I'm so intrigued to see where we go.
Yeah. Well, look, we actually received a handwritten letter, and I wish we were at our shop. We're snowed in right now.
We're snowed in, right.
But we actually received a handwritten letter from a gentleman. He was a contractor, and although our product is designed primarily for DIY, do-it-yourself,
sure.
Weekend warrior. Again, we have had quite a few contractors who've used it, and they love it. But this particular contractor sent us a handwritten, it's a full page. And Samantha, it says, I've been a painter for 42 years. He used our 9-inch roller for 6 months. He basically turned around and bought our 4-inch and our 18-inch rollers. Okay. He credits our roller with allowing him to continue painting. He said he actually threw out his other frames because he had 2 shoulder surgeries the previous year, and so he's been battling painting, and he's old school, so he does all rolling.
Yeah.
He credits our roller with allowing him to continue painting because he doesn't have to have that stress that another roller constantly trying to place it, get the right trail of paint. So like I said, it's really when you hear stories like that, and again, we hear them all the time. It just really inspires us to continue pushing forward. I mean, inventing is a grind. I've learned a lot over the course of, these years, things that I've done wrong, a lot of things that I've done wrong. But again, as you mentioned in the beginning, one of the beauties about belonging to like the Inventor Smart Community or going to places and meeting other inventors is, like you said, you run across people who are in the same position as you, who can basically, they're a shoulder for you to cry on, or you're a shoulder for them to cry on, or you can provide a lot of insight, things that you haven't experienced or things that I have. I mean, I recently went to Las Vegas, and we did a little competition there. We were fortunate enough to win, but while we were there, there were a lot of people that I connected with that in the same boat as us. And again, it's just being an inventor. Like I said, I never envisioned going down this path, getting to this point where I have product that I'm trying to get into retailers. But again, us as a community. We can get through this. And again, I mean, you hear from people all the time, even the success stories, the scrub daddies and the, ring doorbell and stuff like that. You read up on them and you see the struggles that they've had to fight through. So like I said,
those are early days with everybody's got that early day story, right? And this is part of it. How can you have a great BetterGrip Paint Roller story if you don't have any struggles and some triumphs along the way and some setbacks and some, really bad decisions? Man, I wish if we could do that over again. Sure. A lot of inventors that I meet, I have one myself, and it was costly, right? Yeah. So, right. I think circling back around to the community, at least in the community, I know in our app, somebody said, hey, what do you think about such and such company? And then somebody will go, well, blah, blah, blah. And so we've definitely helped each other, especially early stage prototypes or draftings and drawings. These things are important first steps. And if you can't get those first steps done, you kind of don't know where to go. So I want to circle back around really quick. You talked about something about the home show, and you're like, oh, we won. And then you just kind of moved on, and we met all these other people. So I was curious, what did we win at that home show?
Well, so we were invited to go to Vegas for it was an Alibaba Co-Create, and
We were there, yes.
And so we were actually the way it worked. It was they selected 13 businesses that automatically made it to the finals, and then they had 20 other businesses, inventions that had to do a semifinal pitch off. And so we had to do that. I think it was on a Wednesday where we go into this convention room, and there's a lot of the other inventors are there. Some of the people who are in the finals. You've got the judges and other people, and so we went in and basically gave our story. And again, going back to the inspirational side, Samantha, it's so funny because I go in and you have a minute and a half to give your pitch, and so I give my pitch, and it was. Like I said, inspiring because all of a sudden one of the wives of one of the people who were actually pitching against us stood up and went, "I'll take one."
Yes.
I was like, sweet, so it was just the cutest things. But we ended up being selected one of two businesses from the semifinal. So on the Thursday, we turned around and we got to go onto this stage in front of 2,000 people. You had judges like, Damon John was a host from Shark Tank. You had Everett Taylor, who was, he's the CEO of Kickstarter. You had Jason Pfeiffer, editor of Entrepreneur Magazine. And so you had a lot of influential people there who were judges. And so we got to do the pitch competition, and we were fortunate that we were one of 5 selected out of the 15. We received a cash prize and then a few other little things here and there. But it was just, like I said, it was nice because we did have that opportunity. We got some feedback from them on our product. And, these are people, as you know, that are in the inventor space. And, they were like, man, this is such an intuitive product. Jason Pfeiffer says, man, I feel like you've been demoing this out there. I'm ready to run out and buy one right now. And so, to hear these people who probably see, like you guys, thousands of products come and go. It was just nice to hear, them see this as a beneficial product, that serves a purpose. Rudy Maurer, who's an influencer, he said, I actually used to be in real estate and I did a ton of painting, and I completely understand the frustrations that you were referring to. So when you have people like that who are like, man, David, I think this is a great product. I mean, we were walking around, Samantha, after, and we felt like rock stars, my wife and I, Debbie and I. We're standing there walking around, and people see the old neon green shirt. So they're walking up saying, man, I love your product. Great. You did an awesome job, whatever. And then, as we're talking to them, somebody else just comes and stands next to me. And it's with this person, they give me the same, man, I love the product. I just painted last week. I would have loved to have had this. So again, each time we get that little spark, it gives us that fuel to continue pushing forward and knowing that it's not a gimmick. It's not this is a product that can really help people.
This is a serious product. And when we're talking about that customer feedback, or, you and Debbie walking around and people are approaching you, hey, man, you earned that. I mean, you earned it, right? You put the hard work in. So it's nice to hear the general public, people that aren't connected to you or seen your, story going, actually living it with you, your friends and family, right? These are just total strangers telling you, hey, you've really got a great product here. So I think that you've really, earned that. And then when you're talking about, some of these men and women, they're lifetime painters, right? Like the gentleman that you mentioned, they don't want to give up what they're passionate about or what they do for a living. So if you've created something that eases some of that arthritis or the hand strain, I'm one of those too. With what I've done for the industry in my life, my hands get really sore very quickly. So I love this, that we're so thinking of so many entities about this product. And I think it's fresh, man. It's really, I can't believe it hasn't already been done. So, that's that other element to inventing when you kind of tap into something. You're like, how come somebody hasn't thought of this?
Yeah. Well, we were fortunate. Well, let's see, yesterday received notification that Japan, we filed patents globally.
Smart.
And we actually accept that it's expensive, as you know.
Yeah.
So that's the only downside is,
Mm-hmm.
but we did receive notification that Japan actually approved our patent. So we're hoping that that will help to, because it's been a slow process. They've been really dragging, and particularly US. So we're hoping that now that we've gotten it granted in Japan, we're hoping that that may feed into some of the other countries, so we can start getting the patents issued and everywhere else. But no, it's like you said, we hear this all the time. We hear things like "so smart." That's a game changer. Why didn't someone think of this sooner? Are you sure there's nothing else out there like this? And there isn't.
Right, of course.
Like I
At
said,
this point, you know what you have. At this point, and we always like to remind our listeners, whoever's jumping in, whether you're inventing or you're thinking about it or you're a seasoned inventor, I think the general consensus is it takes time and it's expensive. It's not so expensive where you can't handle it, right? Because you do it little steps, especially if you're that committed and you know that you're onto something. And again, when you get all that positive feedback in each step, each journey that you guys have taken, I mean, you have to be so proud of yourselves. You've done really well, even though it took, oh my God, to get here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look what you're achieving. It's huge. It really is. It's an inspiration.
And I think that's one of those learning experiences for me as an inventor is I think you come into this, and of course we're biased. We believe we've got the next greatest invention, and that it's just going to take off and fly. And that's, I think, the most difficult thing to navigate is the slow process. It does, and it's not just ours, as you said. It's everyone. It takes a while for, you've got to get in front of the right people. You've got to get that door open. You got to grind it out. And that's what we're doing. But, I think, we came in and unfortunately we actually had gotten some advice from somebody we had gone to the National Hardware Show, and we had met somebody, and and we ended up probably investing in a little bit too much inventory. So we're inventory heavy. In hindsight, of course, now we know it's a slower process. But again, these are things that we learned, and we're not gonna, we're gonna pick ourselves up. We're not gonna sit there and dwell on the past. All we're gonna do is work towards the future. And like I said, every time we get one person who says, "David, I love it," or they use it. I mean, we had an influencer the other day who had posted a video where she was actually using our roller to paint her barn. And I guess she had a lot of people commenting or emailing her asking, "Hey, what's that green roller you're using?" So she actually did a video saying, "Hey, I know a lot of you have been asking about the BetterGrip Paint Roller, so I want to show you. I'm changing out the roller cover right now. I want to show you what it is, blah, blah, blah." And so she goes through and she basically does like a minute and a half, just kind of explaining like what I did earlier, all the different ways you can hold it and things like that. And so, again, here you have one of these DIY influencers who used it, who loved it. She actually puts, once you use this, you won't use anything else, which is another thing we hear from a lot of our customers. But it's that, Samantha, it's that mindset that, well, I've always used this. Why do I need that? Well, look, it's not for everyone. Okay. But I can assure you that I'm not a painter. Okay. I'm going to go back to, I was a teacher. I was a coach. I was everything else. Painting is not one of those things that I woke up saying, "Hey, I want to go paint this." Okay. So for me, I can see it from the standpoint of people like myself who don't necessarily want to be painting. But when you use that wireframe roller, you get frustrated. And so what I've tried to do with our product is create products that address all the issues that average people like myself experience when using that flimsy wireframe roller. And so everything that our rollers address, again, are things that average person understands. They know because they've dealt with it. And so, like I said, there's a place for it. That's the one thing, again, that I've learned. And I do, if I have anybody that comes up to me or asks me, "Oh, so how's things going?" And, tell me a little bit about, I'm looking at inventing. The one thing that I try to share with them is that, look, just, understand it is a journey. It's not going to just be overnight success. It's not, you're going to have to work hard, and it's going to, but again, at the end of the day, I really feel like, it's something that, particularly if we can really get the snowball take off, it's something that, I mean, look, my son the other day, when I forget what it was, but he comes up to me and goes, "Dad, I'm proud of you. You've inspired me. So, like I said, for me, I want to continue pushing forward, hoping that one day we can be, in the same conversation as a company like Scrub Daddy or like, some of these other big names, because again, we're the only one like this. And, there's products out there, but we're the only one that allows this and whatnot. So hopefully we can get there.
I think the story that you're telling too is one of organic growth, right? Yeah. That we talk a lot about, serendipities on this podcast, and, organic growth is so important as well, right? You have to start there. It takes a long time. You're learning so much along the way. And I mean, we've got our kids saying, "I'm proud of you." I mean, that alone is amazing, right? Because they can see, things that they may not. I don't know how old your son is, but they're clearly not an adult, right? And this is a lot of grind and a lot of work and a lot of doors that close. And then you start to think, well, God, if all these people are telling me this product is great, then why aren't they telling me, let's put this in Lowe's, let's get this in Home Depot, right? And it gets a little fuggy water there. But again, back to that organic growth, you also didn't see that influencer coming either. Like, she came out of somewhere, right? So I think for me and for a lot of inventors, it's really trust the process. Like, if you believe in your product and you believe in how far you've come and all the steps it took to get here, you don't fold now, right? You don't just stop now. You may be inventory heavy. That's okay. Spring's coming, right? Yeah. There's always a little bit of that light as well. So I'm feeling really great things for you and your family. I love it that you were a teacher, and I don't know if you caught this, and maybe you do all the time now. You definitely identified yourself as an inventor. Yeah, it took me a minute to kind of identify myself as an inventor, but once I held a patent in my hand and I had this, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm an inventor, man. I think that I'm like really an inventor. This is fun, and frustrating and crazy and all those other things. But man, I love it. Don't you?
Yeah, thank you. Look, and again, I think you hit the nail on the head. Probably the most frustrating thing for us is knowing, what our product does for average people, but unfortunately, like I said, the big box stores, the ones that can really be a catalyst to bring this to a whole new level, you're relying on, being in front of that right person and having them be in the right mindset. Because again, what we see is a lot of your traditional people who've been around painting for years, it's hit or miss. Majority of them think that we've simply reinvented the wheel. And like I tell them all the time, we've created a better mousetrap. It's not going to be for everybody, but for the majority of people who get stuck painting, it addresses so many issues. It provides so many benefits that you just can't get with that little wireframe roller. And so, but it's that mindset. It's that old school, hard-nosed mindset where, they think, well, why do I need that? I've got this, and I've been using this for so many years. And so, like I said, we're going to continue pushing forward, and
but those barriers to entry, right? With that old school mindset, this works. We've always done it this way. You're like, well, and that's fine. Sometimes, it's almost like you can't fight that. Yeah. But I always walk away from that going, well, there's new energies, there's new generations, there's new ways to do things. So it may not be a fit for you, but, I keep that kind of energy going, me personally on my product, pitches. Also said, because I said pitch, I wanted to circle back around to that really quickly, because I always tell people to look at pitch competitions. A lot of inventors don't realize there's pitch competitions out there. And they can be very valuable. Like you said, you got to put yourself in front of multiples of people because you never know. I did a pitch competition in Florida for my first product, a little beach table, and I came this close to winning the competition, and I had no idea. I was up with some technology stuff, and I'm standing there going, I don't even know what I'm doing here. But I was making them laugh, and my little simple product made sense, right? The guy comes up to me and says, hey, man, I fought for you to win this competition. It's one of the judges. He goes, but by the way, my name is so-and-so. Shake my hand. Here's my card. Call me later. He ended up being my first round investor on what we needed to get us to the next level. So, like you said, you got to put yourself in front of so many people because you don't know. Like you being on this podcast today, right? You're our Inventor Spotlight. You have an amazing product, man. It makes sense. It looks really good. It looks to me like I should already be looking at it at Lowe's.
Yeah.
It looks like it should already be in Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, Rural King, wherever you find these types of products. Yeah. So I think it's going to get there. Do you feel it too? I mean, do you feel like you're going to get there?
I do. Just because, again, there's moments, I'm not going to lie. There's moments where I'm scratching my head going, okay,
like, what are we doing?
What did I put my family through? Why did I jump off of this board? But again, I still, every time I get that feedback, every time I get, somebody use it and love it, it's just, I know there's a place for it. Again, it's not I'm not expecting it to completely replace everything out there. But again, even the color, it's very lightweight. Again, it's durable. For that young couple that's converting that spare bedroom into a nursery, for that housewife who wants to redo the bathroom, and do it herself. It addresses I'll give you another story about my children. So, Samantha, when I first did this, I paid for a prototype to be done. Okay. 3D printed. So they printed it for me, and I had it, and I was planning on using it for take pictures and stuff, because we were going to try and do a Kickstarter campaign and some other things. And so I wanted to have it, I was going to use it, kind of frame it kind of deal, so that if I need it. Well, my daughter decides she wants to paint her bathroom. So she goes in and she's painting her bathroom for a little while. She comes back out and she goes, Dad, can I use your roller? So I'm at a point where I'm going, okay, well, wait, I really want to keep this clean and,
right,
clean so I can take pictures. And then I started thinking, you know what? Let me see what she thinks. I said, sure, go ahead, babe, take it. So she takes it. She goes into the bathroom and she continues doing her project, painting the bathroom. Well, about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, she comes back out, and she's got this grin on her face that, honestly, I'm sitting there going, uh-oh, is this good or bad? Because it almost looked like she was ready to tell me, Dad, you need to bring that behind the barn and shoot it, toss this, get rid of the idea. It's not going to work, whatever. I said, what's wrong? She goes, oh, my gosh, your roller was so much better than that other roller. Wow. And so that, again, that validated – the roller. I mean, I use my prototype. I actually have all these still, but I used it to paint top of a roof on an RV, a camper, and again, it's basically the same application that I used when I came up with the idea. I was painting a deck. And to see the difference, and this was just the one, Samantha, that was a wire frame, two 3-inch rollers with a closet rod. I actually drilled a little hole to screw in an extension pole. And so it's literally the same format, the same application I had come up with the idea for. It was like night and day. And so, again, I knew what the product would do. I knew what it did for me. Then I have my daughter basically using it and saying what it did for her. And then I have all these other people that come up and they say they love it. And, I had a gentleman who was on Shark Tank. And when we were at the National Hardware Show, we were actually selected as one of the most outstanding innovative products. But we got to do this little pitch to, I think it was HSN and QVC. But I'm standing there and I've got the product and it's on an extension pole and I got everything else. And the guy behind me taps me on the shoulder and I look back and he says, hey, is that a paint roller? I said, yeah. He said, have you guys applied for Shark Tank? And I said, yeah, I did a while back. He goes, you need to do that again. He said, that right there is a game changer, man. He said, well, it turns out they had actually been on Shark Tank. They just got off and got a deal. But anyhow, him and I talk, again, that inventor, helping the inventor kind of thing. And I reached out to him. Well, it turns out that he was actually a commercial painter for 7 years. And so he's telling me, he's saying, David, look, I'm telling you right now, that's a game changer. He said, don't give up. This is, so again, it's inspiring to hear the stories from people when they use it or what they think about it. But it is frustrating to know that if these big box stores would just basically put it on there as a test, give it a try, but they refuse to or haven't done for whatever reason. And again, I know we're going to keep grinding, and I know one day that door is going to open. So right now, again, we're in a lot of mom and pop shops. We're selling on our website. We also just recently got into Amazon, where we've been hovering around top 10 for residential paint roller frames. So we're excited about that. We just actually started offering. So this is our 9-inch kit. And, again, we learn things as we go, Samantha. One of the things that I learned was, the way we originally had it set up was you had to purchase a 9-inch kit, which included the arms, the extension handle, everything. And then if you wanted a 4-inch, you would buy an adapter that would take the place. It's this little small adapter in the cover that would take the place of the main handle and cover. So you had to buy the 9-inch to get a 4-inch roller, or you had to buy the 9-inch to get an 18. Well, I started thinking just literally a few months ago that, look, we're probably missing opportunities by, making it to where you have to buy this or that. There might be people looking for an 18-inch roller or a 4-inch roller that don't want to buy the 9 and the adapter. So now we actually have all 3 sizes that come as a complete kit, and we sell the handles separately. So if I start with a 4-inch roller and I love it, and I say, you know what, I want to get a 9-inch now. Well, now I don't have to buy the arms and the handle. I can just buy the main handle and the cover. So we're learning, we're evolving, we're slowly, again, trying to peck at the process so that we can, again, get it in more people's hands. I mean, we shipped 1,200 rollers to New Zealand about 2 months ago, two or 3 months ago. So we're excited to see what kind of response we get there. We've got some interest in the UK. So, like I said, we're going to keep doing what we do. And, at the end of the day, hopefully we can look back at this and it'll just be a story, It
is going to be a story.
Part of the process,
Yeah, it's part of the process. And here's what I'm loving so much today is, you're just being truthful and honest. It takes a long time, but you really have quite a lot of accomplishments on this product. You've really, as I'm hearing you say it all, I know you've been living it. So it's, they're all sporadic and it's growth and it's taking you here. But as I'm hearing your story, this up close and personal, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of accomplishment here. I mean, dude, you are this close. You guys are so close. You don't come this far only to go this far. So, and you're a great pitch guy. I don't know why you're not on HSN and all these, or Shark Tank. I mean, you've got the look, the pitch, the story down. You know your product well. I mean, this is just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, we're hoping. We actually did meet with QVC before Christmas, and supposedly, the conversation ended with, I'm sold. We're going to get you on in 2025. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that maybe, because once again, Samantha, and that one of the things that we did, is our packaging used to be in a clamshell package. And another thing that I thought of, unfortunately, late was, having it exposed where now we have basically a little card that we put over. Yeah, people can actually pick it up, go, wow, because that's one of the first things when somebody picks it up, they go, wow, that's light. And then the second thing is wow, that's more durable than what I thought. Yeah. Because if you just look at pictures, you think, well, that's plastic, that's junk, that's this, that's that, whatever. But I took a lot of time when we got back from the National Hardware Show in 2022. I spent probably 6 months going back and forth with my manufacturer trying to find, because once again, I understood that this is an outside the box idea. And what do we do as human nature is we want to beat it up. We want to find that what's wrong with it. Why isn't that as good as the other stuff? So I didn't want to give these people that, a chance to go and knock it, which unfortunately some people do without even trying it. And then when I explain, they go, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. That's good. But like I said, I spent 4 or 5 months until we could finally, find the combination of materials that was durable, that would allow this to last, and again, eliminate all the issues that people have. So we got to that point. But again, it's just it's a situation where, again, I think we're just waiting for that one opportunity. QVC is a great platform, just like here, because people can see, they can listen, they see it demonstrate. And again, we go to, so I drove a little funny story. So we go to trade show. We went to some trade shows at the National Hardware Show. We were invited by like some of the smaller independents, Ace, True Value, to go to their stores, to their shows. So we go to their shows, and they were nice, but we just didn't really see the volume of businesses that come by, and then other things. So after doing this a few times, I said, you know what, I'm going to go drive around and show this to people. So I took one couple of days and I drove through Mississippi. I basically drove up 59 and drove back down 55. I stopped off at 21 stores. Of the 21 stores, I actually got our product in 16 of them. Wow. The other 5 stores just didn't have the manager or the owner there to make the decision to buy it. And so, but again, it wasn't me necessarily selling the product. Right. It was just me being able to show it to them and explain why our product is better than all the other thousands of products that are out there. Again, it sells itself. Again, if I tell people it attaches on both sides, they automatically know. I don't get that frustrating flex. That cover doesn't. Look, when I go to clean this, this is another selling point. But when I go to clean it, unlike a regular roller where I have to actually take a paper towel or a bag and pull it off, I inadvertently get in paint everywhere. Oh, yeah. With ours, I can basically unscrew one arm, work it off, and then just basically tilt the frame sideways. The cover falls off without me even having to touch it. A little soap, water, light scrub, and I can get it as clean as I want to. So again, for that housewife who doesn't want to get hands all, on the paint, have paint everywhere. I mean, those are things that we can provide. Our roller provides benefits that other rollers can't, So like I said, it's only a matter of time, and I appreciate the kind words, because, like I said, we really, I'm just very adamant, passionate about this. I mean, I
can tell, and I love it. And it shows through. And I think I think that's 90% of it is that personal drive, that personal belief. Like you said, you probably looked at Debbie, you go, you know what, I'm putting some of these in the car, man, I'm going to hit the road. And, if you come back of 16 stores out of 21, I mean, that's a really strong odds. Those are really great numbers. And that's boots on the ground and believing in yourself and in your product and going, somebody's got to see it. I got to get it out here. Let's do it this route. And I think those are success stories. And that's how great products and great companies are made and built. And, I love this for you. I love this for your family. It's a great product. I just bought a house, or in the process right now buying a house. Okay. So I'm like, and everything's freshly painted. But as you're talking and you're showing me all this, I'm like, what room in the house can I just paint? Just because I want to paint something with use one of these rollers for sure. You've been such a great Inventor Spotlight for us. I mean, your product and your transition and your development, it's what I call very mature. You have a lot of mature conversations about your product and this industry and your path that you've taken to get here. And we really appreciate you sharing all that with us because, again, it's a very mature in this industry. I'm not saying mature by age or whatever. You know what I'm saying, right? You've been around, you've been to the trade shows, you've spoken to the people, you're shaking hands with, the likes of Damon John and you've got, HSN over here, pending. You've got Shark Tank where, we should apply again. I envision we're probably going to see you on the show, and I think you would do very well. Very well. You're a great pitch, man. I mean, you really know your product. I'm so glad that you found this community, because once we put this together and this airs, and I know you've been on, you've done some stuff with Brian, and we've had you on the National Inventor Club. I think you have a great story to tell, and it's really inspirational because you've done so much already that you're right at that finish line. And then once you cross over and we have you back on, we'll be like the days in the past, like, wow, we were struggling. I don't remember, right? Yeah. It's all a blur now. We've moved on to our 2.0 or more accessories. There's no way your brain has stopped around this product. I don't want you to talk about it, but I know you're working on other stuff centered around this product. Okay, there it is. I wouldn't have known, but now I see it. It takes one inventor to know another. Absolutely. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to introduce it, or do you want to?
I tell you what, the only thing I will say is we're actually trying to introduce a couple of new products in the spring, summer. As you know, just the cost of production, the molds, all of it. It's really a strain, and like I said, we're already in a position where we have a lot of our money tied up. And I was a school teacher, so I don't at a private school nonetheless. So I don't really have a whole lot, and it's all pretty much invested in our company. But what we're going to be trying to do is actually come out with a corner roller. This would basically take the place of your cover here. It works on our 4-inch. But the only thing that I would like to say is anybody out there that, if we've hit a chord, if we've, you want to support us in any way, we are going to try to do a Kickstarter campaign to help raise some money, to help generate some sales in advance so that we can fund what it's going to cost us to get production on this done. But more or less what's going to happen is this right here would actually go with our 4-inch. So this is our 4-inch right here, and basically what would happen is you would take the cover off of this. I'm sorry, Samantha, but
no, this is fascinating. It's good stuff, man.
You'd put this on, and then now you would actually be able to roll it up your corners. I designed a tray specifically for it, so it would fit in there. You would load it. And then again, using an extension pole, you would literally just be able to paint your 4 corners without getting on a ladder. But what's unique about it is this material is actually the same material that you find on a traditional roller. So where one of the issues with people when they're cutting in, whether it be along trim or in corners, they generally use a brush, and it's going to leave strokes. I mean, some of the higher ends, you can work it to where you don't see it as bad, but you're always going to see a different sheen. With ours, this type material is actually going to leave the same type finish that you have throughout the rest of the room.
And it'll match up. It'll match up when you go back in with your roller, when you have that corner piece. That's right. I got it. And as soon as you put that on there, I'm like, oh my God, that's genius. And then you built a tray to go with it. Look, I'm over here like this trying to see this.
Well, so here's something that again, so what makes this unique is that when you're done painting, you're actually going to be able to peel off the pads, toss them, and I don't have it because again we're snowed in. But we actually have a cradle that you would drop. You'd basically drop one of these pads in the cradle. It's almost like a DVD maker. And what you would do is you just line this up with a tube on the cradle, push it down, and it basically create a whole new roller. So once you buy the kit, you would then buy the replacement pads, and when you're done, you dispose of them. You put 2 new ones on, and then you have the corner. So we're going to be looking at introducing this hopefully in the spring, maybe the summer of next year. We're also working on an edge arm that would take the place of one of our other arms. And it would be a little bit thin profile, so you'd be able to actually run it right along door trim. But anybody who, again, if you think this is something that's cool, if you would like to support a hardworking entrepreneur, keep an eye out for our Kickstarter campaign, or you can go to our website, bettergrippaintroller.com. You can sign up for our newsletter. We also have quite a bit of social media out there. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, other platforms. Just follow us, because once we get onto our campaign together, we're going to try and let people know, and then again, hopefully people will support us, so we can make these things become a reality.
Let me jump in really quick, because back to that Kickstarter, I know at the National Inventor Club, we've had some of these platform campaign people come on and talk about their platforms and how it's beneficial. And I think some early on inventors, get too focused on the money and inventory right out the gate, right? Like you said, you made some mistakes yourself, right? I certainly did as well. So I think for Kickstarter or any one of those platforms, you're at a stage now where it's going to be so strong for you guys, because you have inventory, you have product, people can see it, they can support you. And there has to be the right time for these type of financial campaigns. Yeah. If you do it too early, it's a wash, and then you're just going to get so disappointed. I've talked to other inventors that did it way too early. They think they need it first thing, Kickstarter platform, raise the money. It's not always the case, man. So I like it that you're doing this in 2025, this Kickstarter. You guys are ready, and this is a really smart time, because you have so much product already offer, and all this new prototype action. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm so excited for you.
Well, we're going to see, and we'll keep you guys posted, definitely. And like I said, it's hopefully one day everybody can look back and go, I remember when David was on with Samantha, and I remember hearing about his trials and tribulations, and it's great to see him be where he is today. So
exactly, man. This is the part of building our stories. And this is why we do this podcast with Inventor Spotlight, because it does put a spotlight on your journey, your personal journey of who you are, how it came to be. And it's not easy. And if it was easy, of course, it's a silly saying, but if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But there's a lot of truth to that. This takes really grit, determination, fortitude, patience, kindness to yourself along the way. And I tell other inventors too, and I tell myself, I'll know when it's time to stop. I'm not a crazy inventor. I know my limits. I'll know. And I always appreciate those little synchronicities that happen along the way, right? Just when we think, we don't know, your daughter comes in the room and says, Dad, I'm telling you, oh my God, this versus this. That little bit of light kind of leads to the next step, right? You hit the streets and you sell, or you drop off 16 out of 21 stores. I mean, you had to go home and tell Debbie, you know what, they really like it. Let's keep going, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's all part of the journey and the story. And I thank you so much for being here with us today and letting us kind of tap into some of that and capture this for future people to watch our episode and maybe look back and go, wow, David was right. I just saw that dude on Shark Tank, and he just partnered, and now he's in Lowe's and Home Depot and all of it. I really hope this for you, man. I think you've worked really hard. I get it.
That. And again, thank you for all you guys do. Again, like I said, it can be a lonely journey at times. You feel like you're struggling by your struggles are your own, and again, to have people like yourself, like Brian, like Sean, Andy, people who are there, genuinely trying to help people like myself, whether it be through education, resources, again, spotlighting, it's great what you guys do. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
And y'all keep doing it. Okay. Because again, it really goes a long way, but I appreciate
it makes us feel really good too. Thanks for saying that, because again, we're a community, Brian, the genius, he's an inventor at heart himself. Right. So I think that, the it's very authentic from him. It's a very genuine. We're not service providers. We're not trying to sell you $25,000-$30,000 worth of services. If you want to be a premium member in our group, it's $10 a month, really, and that's just paying for the platform, right? $99 a year. That's just keeping the platforms functioning. I mean, because we're inventors as well, and we know the struggles that it takes, and we want to come together as a community and support one another, and really glad that you joined us today. So we can wrap this up. I know by the time we get this out, we'll have some edits in here. We'll have your website streaming through here. If the Kickstarter is up and running at that time, we'll absolutely add all these links to that. Andy does such a great job with all of that, and we'll make sure it's perfect for you. And we're streaming all over the place, man. Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon. I think there's a couple of more. It's been really incredible. Thanks for being a part of it. Your Inventor Smart Community. You can download our app if you'd like to be an inventor or you want to meet David and hear more about his story. You can find us anywhere you download your apps, Google Play, app stores, and things like that. Inventor Smart Community. All right, man, that's a wrap for today. Thanks, David. I'm sorry you're snowed in, but did you guys make a snowman? Have you done snowball fights?
We did. My wife came up with she's actually down with she may have the flu or something. Poor bless her heart, but she actually came up with a great idea. We're actually going to be for our social media page. We're going to be adding this to our snowman later on and posting that. So. Always thinking. She's always thinking. So
listen, you have to create content all the time for your product, and that's what a great opportunity to create some content while you guys are getting snowed in there, since that hasn't happened since, I don't know, the 1800s or something in Louisiana.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, but no, I appreciate you having me on. It was wonderful.
Thank you. All right, good. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.